Hello everyone, Ramya, Assistant Professor of CSC Department from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. Subject code CS8078 Green Computing. Unit 1 Topic Green IT Strategic Goals Environmentally Responsible Business. Objective to learn about the concepts of green IT goals, environmentally responsible business. First, we are going to see the green IT metrics and measurements. Here, the metrics for green IT performance of an organization can be based internal ROI goals and or on legal reporting requirements. That means it is the ISO 14,000 series of standards. It should provide an excellent starting point for the key performance indicators for green IT. Here we have some typical KPI that must be embedded in an organization that should be undertaking green strategy. The first one is economic outcome. That means it is used to reduce energy consumption by 10% of its current level per year for 3 years. For example, the addition of one detailed insurance service dedicated to green. The next one is technical. Using this, you can able to virtualize data servers for all warehouse data, use smart meters to record, otherwise repost and control emissions. The next one is process. It is used to optimize supply chain management. Using this, you can able to reduce or re-engineer individual process. The next one is people. You have to train people for green IT at all levels, telecommunicate once a week to reduce emissions. Then next one is carbon metrics coverage. It is the ratio that reflects the amount of greenhouse gases emissions per unit of energy delivered. That means it reflects the operational efficiency and efficiency of production process. It should be related to the energy that will be delivered to consumers. Here the carbon intensity metric quantifies the amount of CO2 that should be equivalent emissions per unit of energy supplied to the end consumer. That means non-energy products such as lubricants and chemicals and corresponding emissions are not included in this metrics. Next one is green IT measurement challenges. That means in the past you have to focus was on computing efficiency and the costs associated to IT equipments and infrastructure services were considered low cost and available. That means the now infrastructure is becoming the bottleneck in IT environment. That is the reason for this shift is due to growing computing needs, energy cost and global warming. Here also we have some few prominent challenges that green computing is facing today. The first one is equipment power density or power and cooling capacitors, increasing in energy requirements for data centers and growing energy cost, control on increasing requirements of heat removing equipment which increases because of increase in total power consumption by IT equipments, equipment life cycle management, disposal of electronic wastes. The next one is framework for green IT metrics. That means it indicates their key evidence based instruments which facilitate the evaluation of green economy policies by identifying priority issues, formulating and assessing green economy policy options, and evaluating the performance of policy implementation. Then the next one is measuring carbon footprint of your organization. It is also about the emissions. It is not a measure of use of natural resources or the waste a company produces. That means in the real win will be achieving reductions in your absolute total footprint. That means it is the getting total emissions down even as the business grows. Here we have the best thing to finding the way to reduce the emissions leading to output, so bringing down emissions per product, per employee or per some unit of revenue. The next one is measuring operational cost in your organization. That means if you are going to follow some green computing practices can save millions of rupees of an organization. Otherwise, ecologically responsible practices must be adopted. For example, more green computing initial investment will be more, but eventually not only we will save money but also help to sustain the environment. One of the best ways to make your business more environmentally friendly is to practice green procurement. The next one is environmentally responsible business. It is one of the best ways to make your business more environmentally friendly is to practice green procurement. That means it involves sourcing goods and services. It should produced and supplied in a sustainable fashion. Here also we have some local suppliers rather than those located far away is a good place to start. For example, or manufactured in a sustainable fashion. Do not certain toxic materials can be recycled or made some from renewable materials. Do not make use of excessive packaging. Next we are going to see the policies in ERB. That means a green policy usually contains the following components. First one is a declaration of your company's commitment to the environment. A concise description of what your company is trying to achieve with your environmental goals and you will accomplish your goals. A commitment to prevent pollution and to continuously improve environmental performance. A commitment to keeping employees and community members safe. Next one is practices in ERB. That means it is also defined as those actions that should be reduce the negative environmental impact. It should be caused by activities and process through changes and improvements in the organizations and development of actions. For example, the implementation of good environmental practice should be assumed by the foundation, and also it should be understood as a whole, committing itself to continuous improvement in its application. Here we have some guide has to be followed in 6 lines of actions. That means materials, energy, water, waste, transportation, communications. The next one is lean impact on green. It plays an important role in supporting companies to overcome environmental, social and economic impacts attributed to the production process, which has been a major concern for the industrial sector laterally. That means many of the tools can be successfully used in the isolation, and that means it should be much easier to get started, but on the other hand the benefits will propagate. Otherwise some more tools are used, you have to adapt and reinforce each other. The next one is environmental areas covered. Here the policies and their practices can be viewed from 3 different angles. That means the breadth of coverage, the depth at which they operate, and the length of time they are influential within the organization. That means in this diagram it should be highlighted. It is the need to consider the overall organization and its entire breadth in terms of green IT policy development and implementation. For example, green programs, G represents the green, P represents program, C represents corresponding usage of analyzing, modeling and simulations tools for the study of environmental risk. The next one is depth of environmental policies. Here the deep practice of policies in large organization is usually well supported by tools for eco management operating on dedicated system platforms, resulting in not only support, it also used for the measurement and reporting of carbon performance for single and collective business process. Here also we have some depth of coverage for such process. For example, detailed description, mapping, responsibility, deliverables, activities and tasks within the organization. The next one is length of environmental policies. Otherwise it is a duration of coverage. For example, In this, the green policy formulations require the policy makers to have the ability to look at the future strategies. That means a green IT can transform the organization, and also it is used to maintaining the transformed green state over a period of time. Here the table it shows the period of time. It is only given due to importance when the length is considered. The next one is green practice, a balancing act. That means it also requires consideration of IT versus non-IT assets of the organization. In developing the green policies and eventually practicing green in a holistic way, the organization needs to consider green IT from both IT and non-IT viewpoint. That means it shows the overall influence of IT on the getting effort will vary depending on the type and size of the organization. And the non-IT means it assesses the important for both policy development and eventual practice. The next one is mobility and environment. It has significant role to play in the reduction of carbon emissions, as it has the potential to offer location impedance. That means it is used to reduce the need to travel to most business process. For example, we have some advantages and challenges in the use of mobile technologies in business from the point of view of environment. The next one is advantages to environment. Mobility offers location impedance and personalization, both of which are characteristics that can be used to optimize business process and reduce carbon. That means, for example, including devices, networks and content that should have a significant role to play in the global carbon reduction effort. Next one is the challenges to environment. Here we have some interesting and unique challenges of mobility when it deals with the environment. For example, how mobility enables virtual collaborations between business and individuals. That means it is especially used for the business. Using this, you can able to introduce management challenges in implementing environmentally responsible strategies. The next one is relating environmental business policies to goals. Using this, the importance of policies and their practice is that they enable an organization to achieve its environmental goals. For example, here we have some of the goals, that is energy consumption, energy efficiency, operational cost, operational reputation, increased revenues. The next one is renewable energy resources. That means using this, you can able to discussing the policies and practices that should be associated with the organization in its current state. For example, just consider if instead of oil or gas, the energy was generated from coal. So what happened? The renewable energy certificates are one way for organization to support green energy. And then the next one is impact of renewable sources of energy is usually felt through government regulatory standards. Here the government devised regulatory standards it should control and support the energy providers. Then the next one is mind map for the role of a green chief green officer. That means otherwise it is called as a chief sustainability officer. Also, it is the most senior person in the organization. It should be responsible for green strategies. That means the green policy should have the ability to justify the return of investment. It also helpful in setting and directing the green enterprise information for an organization. Thank you.